Hi, I'm Mike Lowe for Digital Camera, and today we're looking at the new Nikon D3100 entry-level DSLR. This new DSLR has a 14.2 megapixel CMOS sensor using the new XP2 image processing engine, and it's also capable of shooting 1080p HD video at 24 frames per second. The Nikon D3100 replaces the D3000 model released before it. A number of the features are still the same, such as the 11-point multicam 1000 autofocus system. As well as this, the same 3 frames per second burst mode also features. It's with the new image sensor and the XP2 processing engine that things particularly change, as this camera is now capable of shooting from ISO 100 all the way up to 12,800 at full resolution. Like the D3000 before it, the 3100 is particularly aimed at first-timers or entry-level users that aren't particularly used to the control mechanisms on a DSLR. One of the options on the modes at the top here to get around this is the guide mode, which on the rear screen essentially spells out in plain English how to use certain modes, what they mean and what they do. This is particularly useful if it's your first time using a DSLR camera. On the rear of the camera there's a 230,000 dot LCD screen which is 3 inches in size, and above this there's a viewfinder with a 95% field of view. The 95% basically means you're missing out on 5% of the final frame that you can't see when framing through the viewfinder, although this is very common for a DSLR of this level. For the live view option, if you want to see a live preview of what you're going to shoot on the screen, there's this switch here which easily moves over in order to see your composition. Around the other side of the camera there's a flash control button here that pops the flash up and down. There's also a function button below this which you can use or assign some functions to. There's no depth of field preview, however. There's also an AF assist lamp which is very useful for illuminating subjects in dimmer lit conditions. In use, the 11-point autofocus system is effective. It's the same as that found on the D3000 before it, so there's no particular jump between the two cameras in terms of their performance. However, the focus points are well arranged on the camera, and the two on the farmost sides allow for a wide focus point, and the point in the centre is a cross type, meaning that you get better sensitivity for portrait and landscape orientation. In live view mode, a different contrast detect based system is used for autofocus. This is much slower than when shooting through the viewfinder, and often the subject will be over and under focus before final focus is actually attained. When shooting movie, this is the only autofocus type available as well, which can cause problems with fast moving subjects. If they come towards or go away from the camera, it's tricky to keep focus on them. The only way to focus during movie is by half depressing the shutter button, irrelevant of which focusing mode the camera is actually set into, and this often brings forth the problem of over and under focusing when you're actually recording. The quality of the movie files is certainly an evolution over the previous motion JPEG format that Nikon used to use. The new H.264 compression type outputs as movie files using QuickTime and is much better in terms of quality. In terms of sound, there's a built-in mono microphone that can be turned on or off, though there's no external microphone input. Although the resolution has increased over the previous D3000 model, this more densely populated sensor doesn't suffer in terms of image quality. Image noise is absent from ISO 100 to 200, and a granular texture begins to creep in subtly hereafter. ISO 1600 to 3200 are still usable, despite notable softness from noise reduction processing. It's only the two high settings that don't have a great deal of value, especially the high 2 option, which is an ISO 12800 equivalent. Although not 100% accurate in all situations, the auto white balance does an otherwise decent job on a variety of scenes, and where light is warm, the camera is generally good at not dialing out this colour unnecessarily. In terms of cost, the D3100 will set you back around £580, though that's available for about £500 in some shops at the moment as well. On the one hand, you get a lot of specification for this money, but on the other, it's actually very expensive for what's supposed to be an entry-level product. Something such as the Pentax KX would be a few £100s less and offer a faster burst mode, for example. Otherwise, there's very little to complain about. The autofocus in live view is perhaps a little bit slow, and the focusing during movie can be a bit of a pain, but is otherwise very highly specified. If it wasn't for the price, we'd be tempted to give this our Gold Award, but as it is, it scores a very respectable 89%, and I recommend it award.